I'm glad to join you today at the Martin Luther King Memorial at this moment for a movement that will go down in history as one of the greatest demonstrations for equality in the history of our nation. The Declaration of Independence was looked at as one of our most cherished symbols of liberty. The Constitution of the United States said we the people was established to provide justice for all. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a landmark legislation for our nation, and the Emancipation Proclamation signed scores of years ago. All was supposed to help us move forward. But it appears the direct deposit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness did not hit the account. The wire transfer of equality was redirected back, and the debit card of justice for all was declined. African Americans and people within the diaspora continue to struggle. We have gone from legalized slavery to legalized racial profiling. We have gone from city and state and federally run jails to private prison corporate complexes. We have gone from living on giant rural slave plantations to living in rundown urban ghetto plantations. We have gone from a system of separate and not equal to a system of integration with no justice. It has been over 40 years since Dr. Martin Luther King died, and 50 years since that historic march on Washington. And America still continues to hand us a check that's marked void. America wants to be recognized as a first-class nation, both internally and by the broader world communities. But the reality of our internal decision-making reveals an absence of concern for having second and third-class citizens. Every place you look, achievements, accomplishments, and milestones that were brokered by earlier generations are being taken away. And as our older generation of individuals who fought for justice and equality in the 60s leave us, many of our government officials are starting to feel that there is generational apathy festering in our communities of color, and that they now have a prime opportunity to take back the gains that the civil rights fighters fought and died for. Some Americans want us again to accept a subordinate place in American society. But I say today, while standing here on this sacred ground, that one time in America, and some of you can remember, you had to be the hardest worker if you wanted to succeed in a country where the flames of injustice were burning bright. My father and grandfather grew up before words like diversity, multiculturalism, preferential treatment, and affirmative action became common. They did not have automatic doors when it came to life freedom. They had to kick them in with excellence. They knocked them down with persistence. They went over them with determination, and they removed them with agitation. So today I want to let those officials know that we won't be drinking from the cooling fountain of gradualism or lying back in the tranquilizing luxuries of life. No mental or societal camouflages are gonna distract us. Today we challenge the United States of America to live up to its ideas, because the American agenda is still undecidedly unfinished. It is unfinished because some of our policymakers are making decisions that are affecting our communities in a negative fashion. And they are making these decisions based on the premise that the civil rights movement is over. They feel we have lost that willpower of steel we once had because we no longer see signs for whites only. But nothing can be further from the truth. We are moving forward in our quest for equality. We are moving forward because we won't go back to poll taxes or restricted eligibility requirements or bizarre gerrymandering or the rewriting of our Constitution. These are the tactics that the Supreme Court and governors and legislators around this country are using to nullify and suppress the voting rights of the middle class and the poor. We are moving forward because today's school system have handed our children a check marked insufficient funds. And this has caused our children to see only dark todays and even bleaker tomorrows. And if America continues to abandon our children, we will rapidly go from a first-class nation to a no-class nation. We are moving forward because the criminal justice system has become a for-profit institution for social control of African Americans and our poor brothers and sisters of all races. We are moving forward because we won't go back to sitting in the back of the bus or drinking from separate water fountains. We cannot overlook the urgency of the moment. The changes that are needed in America are challenging both domestically and internationally. But together with hard work, we will forge ahead. We cannot look back. There are those who say, look how far you have come. Don't you think you have enough? We can never have enough as long as most Americans are shackled to a life sentence of poverty with no parole. We can never have enough as long as people who built this country have to choose between buying medication that they must take or buying food that they must have. We can never have enough as long as the unemployment rates and the high school dropout rates and the jailhouse capacity rates continue to increase. No, we don't have enough. And we won't have enough until equality opens up like a busting cloud and morality spreads like rusting wind. I know some of you standing and sitting here have lost faith in the American system. Some of you have been battered by the increase in police brutality and stagnated by the injustice in the justice system. Some of you are the innocent victims of persecutions and the recipients of great trials and tribulations. Some of you are bogged down in the quicksand of poverty and traumatized by the increase in crime, but continue to walk with a spirit that's unmovable. So go back to Missouri. Go back to New York. Go back to Chicago. Go back to Detroit. Go back to North Carolina. Go back to Florida with the belief that America can and will move forward. I say to you today, and I'm going to preach a new sermon. It was a sermon deeply rooted in Martin's heart, and it's deeply rooted in the American dream. Because I have a dream too. I have a dream that one day America will use its rich and diverse mixture of gender, ethnic, and socio-economic backgrounds in a way that allows this great nation to more fully embrace the reality that our better days are ahead of us. In this way, we will come to realize that what lies behind us and what lies before us is of little consequences when we compare it to what lies within us. I have a dream that opportunities that are rapidly closing for the poor and the middle class will open back up, and that every jail will be empty and every school and university filled. I have a dream that my African American brothers and sisters will be able to coexist peacefully in their own neighborhoods. And that word that the slave master used to demoralize and dehumanize us will not rain down like a mighty storm in our communities. I have a dream too. I have a dream that one day, even Gina, Louisiana, where its town district attorney reminded us of Bull Connors, and the United States attorney for that district justified an unjust system. Right there in that city, black students and white students will be able to sit up under the same tree. They will be able to live on the same side of the tracks. They will be able to go to church together and pray together. I have a dream too. I have a dream that one day, Americans who are just fighting for their right for justice, fighting for their right for freedom, will not be made to feel like they are refugees in their own land, or that they are in a militarized zone in their own country when fighting for equality. Somewhere I read you have freedom of speech. Somewhere I read you have freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read that there are some inalienable rights that are neither created by or derived from the state. They are God-given. I have a dream that one day every valley will be lifted up and every mountain and hill shall be brought low. That the rocky places in our lives will be made smooth and the crooked places made straight. And the wonders of God's greatness will be shown, and all flesh shall see God's power together. This is our hope. This is the spirit that I will travel around this nation with. And with this spirit, we will be able to rise above the negative influences of our society. With this spirit, we will be able to make people's lives better. With this spirit, we will have peace and harmony in this country and around the world. With this spirit, we will be able to transform all of God's people into knowledgeable, empathetic, and self-directed moral individuals. With this spirit, we will be able to work together, struggle together, undergo change together, and celebrate our successes together. Oh yes, this will be a grand day. Because this will be the day when all of God's children will be able to come together and proudly say, Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. And if America wants to continue to stand as the greatest nation under God, this must become true. So let this spirit ring from the historical Liberty Bell in Philadelphia. Let this spirit ring from the marvelous heights of Eagle Mountain, Minnesota. Let this spirit ring from the breathtaking frozen hills of Pioneer Peak, Alaska. Let this spirit ring from the peaceful slopes of Stone Mountain, North Carolina. But not only that, we must let this spirit ring from the natural beauty of Mount Olympus, Utah. Let this spirit ring from the majestic hills of Castle Peak, Colorado. Let this spirit ring from the symbolic wings of the White House. When we let this spirit ring from every city and every state, from every heart and every soul, we will be able to join hands and say, in the words of the new civil rights generation, equality at last, equality at last, glory be to God. We have equality at last.